Hello, YouTube. I am finally ready to tell you about my Vego Garden elevated raised bed. That's this beauty right here. So I received this back in May and got it planted up, but life was so crazy at the time. You know what they say, life is lifing. It wasn't bad. There was a lot of stressful things, but also I have two sets of twins. My girls just graduated from college, both of them, summa cum laude, one from Howard in Washington, D.C., and the other one from Mount Mary up in Milwaukee. So I am so proud of them. And during that whole same time span, everyone in the house had a birthday. We have 6 Tauruses in the house. All of our birthdays are the end of April through mid-May. So it's a very busy time. So I didn't have time to really do a full video on this like I wanted. I did shoot a little bit of clips while I was getting it set up. So I'm going to piece all that together for you now into a video telling you all about it. So first of all, what I have here is the 2x6. These also come in 2x4 and 2x8. Had I not been wanting to put it here on the patio, if it was going somewhere else, or if I didn't want to make sure it fit between these two green stalks, I might have gone for that 2x8. But the 2x6 fits very nicely here, and it's a lot of space. So when I planted this up, I did a variety of plants that I started from seed and some from our local nursery. We have some collards in here. We've got some Cuban oregano. We've got some onions and I think leeks. We've got some oregano, regular oregano over here, some golden sage, some traditional sage, some basil. There's even a couple of peanut plants, thanks to my friends, the squirrels. And speaking of the squirrels, at the beginning of June, we were going on vacation on a cruise for our anniversary, and I did not want the squirrels digging in here uprooting plants. They don't tend to bother plants as in eating them or anything, but when they bury peanuts, they accidentally uproot plants. So I built a very simple chicken wire cage, and I put it over here. The plants were much shorter then. So I used chicken wire and some supports that I already had in clips and protected it. It kept it protected. Another thing that I did right away was hook up the Vego Garden watering system, which we will talk about a little bit now, and I will have a full video coming up on that very soon. But let me grab my camera and give you a closer look at this beauty. Just finished assembling my Vego Garden elevated raised bed. This thing is a beast, but look how beautiful it is. Assembly wasn't too bad. I did have to get my husband to help me bring it out here and to hold a couple parts in place for me, but it was pretty easy. This is the 2x6. They also come in 2x4 and 2x8. And let me tell you something, these wheels, these are the smoothest, strongest wheels I have seen on a raised planter yet. And I love that it has the storage underneath. Now to fill this beast with soil, which I did get more potting mix and potting soil today. So I'm going to fill it. It's filled. This takes about 11 cubic square feet of soil. I used a mix of Black Gold, Pro Mix, a bag of mushroom compost, and some soil that I had dumped out of some planters that I'm no longer using. Mixed it all in. I added a little bit of amendments like I always do. Worm castings, bone meal, and some granular fertilizer. Stay tuned to see what I plant in this beauty. So as mentioned, this is a 2x6, means it's 2 feet of space this way, 6 feet this way. If you are into the square foot gardening method, this is the perfect type of setup for that. You can put one plant in every square feet, depending on what it is, sometimes more than one plant. Like over here in my sage area, I have 2 nice sized sage plants. Over here with the greens, there's just one in this space, but then I tucked some basil into the middle. And you'll see the watering system here. Now this is really nice. This was my first one. I purchased 2 of these kits when I wanted to get irrigation set up before vacation. I put one on here before I put it anywhere else, and it has worked out great. Another thing that I really love about this elevated bed is the storage shelf underneath. You can see I have all of my harvest baskets under here and some supplies. And another thing that I realized is in the spring, or even now, if you start some seedlings, you can put them on this shelf under here. And when the top gets watered, that water kind of dribbles down under and can water the seedlings under there as well. So they'll be partially protected from the hot sun, and they'll also get water. But I'm also just loving this for storage. I could even put some stuff under there if I wanted to. And in one of the clips, I mentioned that these wheels are like the strongest wheels I have seen on such a thing. They are fantastic. Look how thick they are. They're like 1.5 inches each. There's locking mechanisms on some of them there, and it's very easy to unlock them and move it. I don't want to do that now because I've kind of put it in the perfect place where I want it, and I don't want to move it. But I have moved it a couple times because when I first set it up, it was over here. I decided to roll it on over to this space where it's going to stay. Assembly was also pretty easy. I didn't need any help with assembly until it was time to upright it and move it outside because, as you can see, it's a beast, pretty dang on heavy. But my husband helped me with that and it worked out just fine. Okay. Now, something else that I like is the protective edge here. Vego Garden and a couple of the other companies do really, really good with this. This edge actually stays on and actually protects. Those beds back there are by a different brand, and they came with like a rubber edge that doesn't stay on at all. So I don't even bother to put it on because it's useless. Okay. So this is the bed. Forgive this video for being a little haphazard, but I want to make sure you see what it looked like when it was empty and when I was assembling it. And I'm going to bring it all together. If you want to get one of these, this is perfect for a patio. Just imagine that I didn't have my big garden over there. Using this thing and my green stalks and such, I'm able to grow quite a bit of food just here on my patio. Or if you have just a deck, you can put one of these on your deck and grow food. And also with the watering system, even if you have existing irrigation, there are ways to tie it in. I tied it into the irrigation here with the green stalks. So when the patio gets watered every day, twice a day in the heat of this summer, this gets watered along with everything else. And there's also a cutoff here. This is just one of the many Vego Garden products that I have here in my yard. So let me show you some of the others. Excuse the mess over here. That area is a work in progress, which we'll talk about later. But that bed, the little green one there, and that bed are both Vego Garden beds. That is one of the 17-inch round. I think it is a 32-inch bed. I had garlic in this bed. I pulled it already. Now a second round of potatoes will be going in there. Here in the main garden, where it is a jungle madhouse. You can't even see this bed here, but this was my first ever Vego Garden bed that they gifted me when I became an affiliate. So this has been here for over 4 years. And just this past spring, I added the wall trellis. I purchased the wall trellis and put it here. And as you can see, it is covered up in a massive squash plant. This is early Bullum squash, my first time planting this. And we'll talk about that squash later. But that's two Vego Garden things. Oh, over here, we have a Vego Garden tomato planter, self-watering tomato planter, which I have sugar baby watermelon in. So there are two little plants in here. Here's one there. Look how cute. And it's doing very well. And then if we go back here to the back, this is a 32-inch Vego Garden bed. And you can see without the plants in the way, the irrigation watering system here, which we'll talk a full video about that later. And then I have the Vego Garden lights on the side, the magnetic lights that stick to the side. They look great when they light up at night. And then over here, this one is actually called the Vego Garden Kids Bed. I think it's 3.5 by 2.5. Cute little bed if you have a space to fit just a little bed. And you can see I have two very nice, huge tomato plants in there. That's the Rebel Starfighter tomato. Look how pretty that is. And in the back of those are two cucumbers that are going along the fence. I also have the watering system in that bed. Okay. And there's another tomato planter over here. This one is hiding in the back because it got chewed up by a squirrel or mouse, so it's not looking its best, but it's still functional. See that chew marks? So they were nice enough to replace that for me. Put that back together. I had to move this a couple times the other day when I was putting this watering system on, so I could squeeze back there and put in some screws. So I need to make sure that's put back together right. But yeah, so those are some of my Vego Garden. Then I bypassed this thing sitting in the middle of the ground. This is the little garden tool basket that they have. It was on this bed, but I moved it because, as you can see, my squash is enormous. But this is so neat. I purchased this on Amazon, or you can get it direct on their site. I'll put a link. You just hang it on the side of your raised bed. You throw your tools in there, and then you won't lose them in a perfect world, because there are two hoary knives somewhere in this garden, and I can't find them because they are covered in plants. But when I do, I will put them back in there. I forgot to mention one thing that I'm excited about. I have learned that Vego Garden has released a trellising and cover system for this, similar to the one that I showed you on the big bed, and I can't wait to get it. Unfortunately, my size was out of stock for a bit, back ordered, but I am going to get it just in time for fall planting. I'm excited about that. That means, cause I don't do a huge fall planting. Like when it starts to get cold, I kind of switch over to inside growing. So anything that I do for fall, I try to usually keep it just right here on the patio for the most part, so I can just pop out of the door, grab some herbs or greens or whatever. So my collards will be able to stay. Other stuff will be able to stay, but if I wanted to, I could replant this and I'll be able to trellis like some beans or peas or something right up here. I can't wait. So as mentioned, I am a Vego Garden affiliate. I will put a link below where you can check out the options on this bed, the watering system, the raised beds, the little toolbox, and all the other great stuff that they have on their site. When I work with a company, I don't just limit myself to using what they might send me for free, which is great. That, you know, that introduces me to the company and gets to know them. But if I love their products, I start buying stuff too. I purchased 2 of these watering systems. I purchased the big 32-inch bed myself. I have purchased some of the lights. I can't help it, you know. If they make good products, they make good products. And once I know that a company makes good products, then I support them. And I wouldn't tell you about it if I didn't believe in it. So anyway, I have some more stuff coming up on the channel. I actually am doing a garden tour. Full disclosure, I shot the garden tour in this video earlier, realized my sound wasn't working, so I'm doing it over. Which is fine, because by that time the sun would have moved behind the house a bit and it won't be quite as bright or hot. All right, so if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, because I have more goodies coming up. Ta-ta for now.